Used RV prices have fallen harder than anyone expected, some down nearly 40% in just months. Over 4 million rigs are now sitting between owners, banks, and dealers who can't move them fast enough. If you bought after 2021, your loan could already be upside down, and refinancing isn't saving anyone. How did the market flip this fast, and why? Breaking the floodgates. The collapse did not creep in slowly. It hit like a flash flood. In less than 12 months, more than 4 million used RVs poured onto resale platforms across North America, creating the largest oversupply in the industry's history. On R-Vee Trader, listings tripled from 120,000 to nearly 400,000 in under a year. At the Mannheim, Indiana auction, a 2021 Grand Design Reflection that fetched $89,000 last spring now struggles to clear $47,000. Dealer spreadsheets confirm the pattern. Equity has vanished from driveways overnight. What caused the sudden flood? It started when owners who bought during the pandemic boom tried to cash out before loan renewals at double the rate. Many stored rigs for months, hoping values would rebound, but the market turned before they could blink. That oversupply wiped more than $35 billion in owner value and triggered the first wave of panic sales. If listings exploded this fast, what happens to the people behind those payments when the bills keep climbing? Driveway debt. For thousands of families, the driveway is now a parking lot of regret. Interest rates that once sat near 4% have climbed past 8%, doubling monthly payments on the average $50,000 rig. Insurance premiums rose 20% year over year, and storage lots that once charged $40 a month now want $90. Add rising diesel prices, and what was marketed as freedom on wheels has become a fixed cost heavier than a mortgage. Take the Thompsons in Missouri. Their 2022 Jayco cost them $620 a month at signing. After their variable rate reset this summer, the payment jumped to almost $1,000. They tried refinancing, but banks refused loans under $50,000 unless owners offered additional collateral. The family now lists the R-Vee online, describing it as barely used. Life change forces sale. Stories like theirs repeat across every forum, turning pride into anxiety. When budgets snap under that kind of pressure, repossessions do not wait for explanations. If this collapse already feels too close to home, hit like and drop a comment below. Let's see how many owners are living this right now. Repo before dawn. Before sunrise, tow trucks line up outside storage yards and subdivisions from Arizona to Pennsylvania. Repossessions have surged quietly, up more than 40% since late 2024, according to lender filings reviewed by the Elkhart County Clerk. Most owners never see a headline about it. They simply wake up to an empty driveway. Dealers call them voluntary surrenders, but there is little voluntary about losing a $100,000 coach while still owing $60,000. Behind locked fences outside Dallas, acres of repossessed rigs now sit with handwritten tags. 2021 Thor Ace, awaiting title. 2022 Forest River Sunseeker, salvage hold. Each row represents a loan that went bad faster than lenders predicted. The shame has turned to anger. Owners say the same banks that pushed easy loans during the boom now ghost their calls. For many, the repossession notice arrives before the second missed payment clears. But repos are only a symptom. The real disease started far earlier, inside the factories that built too many rigs too fast. The hidden math. Between 2020 and 2023, RV manufacturers produced nearly 3 million new units, twice the normal volume. Cheap credit and stay-at-home policies made every assembly line a gold rush. Plants in Elkhart, LaGrange, and Forest City ran double shifts, with suppliers cranking out frames and slide-outs at record pace. Executives assured investors that demand was structural, not temporary. Then interest rates climbed, travel normalized, and the order books evaporated. The glut born in those 3 years became the 4 million unit tidal wave flooding the used market today. Factory managers now admit privately that half the inventory shipped in that period went to speculative buyers. Rental fleets, small flippers, and new dealers who never had sustainable customers. When those middlemen folded, their units boomeranged back into circulation, crushing prices for everyone else. The industry built optimism into every weld, and now the welds are cracking under the weight of math no one wanted to face. And those numbers are about to rewrite every sticker price in America. Sticker freefall. Walk onto any dealer lot right now, and you can feel it before you see it. Price gravity pulling everything down. Units that once commanded premium prices are now chained to discount banners, yet they still do not move. The latest Black Book data shows average used values collapsing between 30 and 40% since 2022. A 2021 Forest River Cherokee that sold for $48,000 2 years ago now lists for $28,000 and sits unsold for weeks. Dealers whisper about market adjustments, but the math is visible in every red tag. At Mannheim's Indiana auction, bids on Class C motorhomes missed reserve by an average of $12,000 in August alone. Dealers are drowning in trade-ins they cannot flip, and their lots look more like storage yards than showrooms. Owners who thought they were safe because they bought used are watching their own rigs lose thousands overnight as the floor resets lower every week. Dealers aren't truly lowering prices. They're rewriting the math to make falling numbers look like bargains. The survival game. Dealers now rebuild profit not through the sticker price, but through the fine print that follows. 0% financing? It's rarely zero. The rate is buried in documentation fees, gap insurance, and mandatory protection packages that can add $6,000 to the final bill. A Florida buyer shared his paperwork for a 2023 Keystone Passport. The headline price dropped $7,000, but after add-ons and extended warranty clauses, he paid nearly the same total. Trade-ins tell another story. Dealers appraise rigs thousands below book value, only to claim larger discounts on the new unit. The spreadsheet looks generous, but the difference vanishes in financing. Every signature locks buyers deeper into contracts that stretch longer than the ownership itself. The stealership nickname feels more literal each month. They call it flexibility. Owners call it a trap disguised as a deal. Even escaping the lot won't save you. The costs follow you down the highway, all the way to the campground. Campground crunch. For many owners, the campground used to be the escape valve, a place to breathe when everything else felt expensive. Now that refuge is collapsing under its own price hikes, across the country, corporate chains have swallowed small parks, and nightly rates that once hovered near $35 now exceed $60. Seasonal contracts are worse. What cost $900 a month before the pandemic now runs $1,600, with new utility fees added quietly in fine print. Companies like Sun Communities and Equity Lifestyle report record revenue even as occupancy drops. Their answer is simple: fewer guests, higher rates. The result is overcrowded public lands and exhausted full-timers chasing affordable spots across state lines. Maintenance standards fall as profits climb, leaving owners paying luxury prices for broken hookups and gravel lots. The promise of the open road has turned into a toll road, and the dreamers who financed it are footing the bill. And when living gets pricier everywhere you park, the next blow doesn't come from the campground. It comes from the policy pages written far above it. Policy whiplash. While owners wrestle with falling prices and rising fees, the government's rulebook has made survival even harder. New tariffs on imported steel frames and electronic components added nearly 8% to repair costs in 2025. Insurance premiums jumped after major fleet losses, forcing even careful owners to pay more because of corporate mistakes hundreds of miles away. In Arizona, a single fire at a rental yard pushed regional premiums up 15% within 1 quarter. Local zoning boards have joined the squeeze. Counties reclassify private storage lots as commercial property, hiking taxes by hundreds each year. Some homeowners received surprise fines for parking rigs on their own land, a practice tolerated for decades. The policies designed to stabilize markets have turned into paperwork traps for ordinary people. Instead of relief, owners face escalating costs that feel less like regulation and more like punishment for believing in a fading dream. If policies squeeze this hard at ground level, imagine what happens upstream, where those same factories are still struggling to stay alive. Credit chains. The money flow in the R-Vee world is drying up fast. Banks that once begged for borrowers have quietly stepped away from loans under $50,000, especially on units more than 5 years old. The problem is negative equity. Owners owe more than their rigs are worth, and lenders do not want the risk. Data from the Federal Reserve shows recreational vehicle loan delinquencies up 29% year over year. When borrowers cannot refinance, they default. When they default, repossessions climb, and the cycle feeds itself. One Midwestern lender told trade reporters that they no longer consider travel trailers a stable asset. That single statement triggered a chain reaction across smaller credit unions that had relied on wholesale funding from bigger banks. Suddenly, approvals vanished, even for customers with solid credit. The same institutions that fueled the pandemic boom have pulled their cash out, leaving thousands of buyers stranded between high interest and no access to new loans. Without fresh lending, every unsold rig on a lot becomes dead weight, and without loans, production lines start to die. Factory silence. In Elkhart, Indiana, the hum of assembly lines now fades by noon. Workers who once clocked overtime on weekends are being sent home by Wednesday. Thor Industries confirmed shipments down 31% this quarter, and Winnebago announced 200 layoffs, citing dealer inventory saturation. Local diners near the plant close early because lunch traffic is gone. Supply shops slash orders, and the whole town feels the slowdown ripple outward. For decades, these factories represented stability. Families built their lives around steady wages, stitching upholstery and welding frames. Now, second-generation employees find themselves waiting by silent machines. Corporate statements call it strategic recalibration, but everyone in town everyone knows what that really means. Less work, less pay, less hope. When production slows, parts suppliers in Michigan and Ohio lose contracts, transport firms cut routes, and communities across the Midwest start to hollow out. But the slowdown inside those walls triggers something even larger beyond them, the seasonal crash that hits every driveway in autumn. If you want the truth before it hits the headlines, subscribe now. The next market shift is already building, and you'll want the numbers first. The autumn wave. As October rolls in, the collapse hits its annual breaking point. Listings spike again as owners rush to sell before storage bills arrive. Last year, classified counts on R-Vee Trader jumped from 270,000 to over 380,000 between October and December alone. It is the same pattern every fall, only sharper now that prices have already collapsed. Dealers slash ads daily, hoping to unload units before frost sets in. Families who can no longer afford their payments try to move rigs fast, even at losses of $10,000 or $15,000. Storage yards double their rates as demand for space outpaces supply. For every R-Vee tucked into winter storage, another two go on sale at a discount. The glut deepens, and every markdown resets the value floor lower. Owners keep refreshing their listings, watching prices slide week by week like sand through a cracked funnel. And when the rush ends, the real numbers will show. Anatomy of 4 million. The total count sounds unreal until you break it down. Roughly half of the 4 million used R-Vees now circulating are travel trailers built between 2020 and 2023. Another quarter are fifth wheels abandoned when fuel prices spiked. The rest are Class A and Class C motorhomes, many repossessed or liquidated from rental fleets. Together, they form a mountain of inventory that no market can absorb quickly. Storage yards stretch to the horizon outside Phoenix and Tampa, while canceled export lots in British Columbia hold hundreds more. Analysts once claimed that R-Vee ownership was immune to oversupply because families always wanted freedom. But when freedom is financed, it can flood just like any other commodity. The excess built during the boom years is now the weight crushing its own industry. Everyone agrees on one thing: the bubble burst, and it is not finished deflating yet. Knowing the size of the problem is one thing. Surviving it as an owner or worker will be something else entirely. Buying in the crash. For cautious buyers, this downturn offers both danger and opportunity. The panic has driven down prices so steeply that careful inspection and negotiation can save between $7,000 and $10,000 on a single purchase. The key is patience and proof. Always demand maintenance logs, roof seal records, and tire age certificates. One buyer in Tennessee recently picked up a 2019 Winnebago Mini for $24,000 after showing the dealer 3 local listings priced under $22,000. The dealer matched the market on the spot. Walk through slowly with a flashlight and check every corner for soft flooring or water stains. If the seller rushes you, walk away. In this climate, inventory outweighs buyers, and leverage belongs to whoever moves last, not first. Bring printed comps to every lot and let silence do the talking. Most sellers crack after 60 seconds. Those who prepare, verify, and refuse emotional pressure still have room to win. But one wrong rig, one missed crack or leak, can still erase every dollar you saved. The buyer's mirage. Cheap often hides expensive. The flood of used R-Vees has filled listings with units that look spotless online but carry silent rot beneath. Flood recovery vehicles from Texas and Louisiana are appearing as lightly used. Photos show gleaming exteriors while floor joists crumble from moisture trapped during storage. A couple in Kentucky thought they scored a deal on a 2021 Forest River Georgetown for $42,000. 2 weeks later, a slide-out failed, and hidden mold repair added $9,000 more. Professional flippers scrub titles, swap carpets, and spray fresh sealant to hide water intrusion. If the deal sounds unreal, assume it leaks. Ask for undercarriage photos and service invoices from the last 12 months. Walk away from rigs with mismatched tires or fresh paint under window seams. Both are warning signs. The cheapest listings are rarely the safest. Buyers chasing miracles end up financing mistakes. And a bargain that bleeds money is no bargain at all. So where do the truly reliable survivors come from in a market this flooded? Communities that refuse to fold. Across the country, small groups of owners are proving that resilience can outlast collapse. In Ohio, a dozen families formed a repair co-op that shares tools, parts, and a rented barn. They cut their annual maintenance costs by 40%. In Arizona, retirees teach new R-Veers how to reseal roofs and replace brake pads without paying dealer labor rates. Online forums have evolved into lifelines, swapping parts, numbers, and troubleshooting tips faster than service centers can answer phones. What began as frustration has turned into independence. These communities build their own supply chains, salvaging components from decommissioned rigs and posting verified repair guides. A retired mechanic named Alan in Idaho repairs slide mechanisms for cost of parts and coffee. Each repaired rig becomes a small act of rebellion against the corporations that sold overhyped freedom on credit. The R-Vee dream is bruised, but it's being rebuilt by the people who actually live it. They're rebuilding the freedom the factories sold off. But what happens next depends on the storm still forming over the horizon. The 2026 crossroads. By mid-2026, analysts expect shipments to stabilize near pre-pandemic levels of about 400,000 units per year. Prices should bottom out around summer, provided interest rates ease as the Federal Reserve signals. Yet risk remains. A new round of tariffs on imported steel or lithium could push production costs back up. The RVIA's latest road signs report warns that while demand will recover slowly, dealer consolidation may keep retail prices artificially high for another cycle. For owners who held on, the next year offers a fragile balance. Those with solid, well-maintained rigs will see values steady. Buyers with cash will finally regain power. Communities that learn to share resources will thrive as the industry resets. But if inflation returns or credit tightens again, another contraction could follow. The lesson of this collapse is clear. Freedom only survives when knowledge replaces hype. The market will heal, but not by accident, and not for everyone, because the next storm may already be forming, and this time you'll see it coming before it hits. Subscribe, stay sharp, and roll smarter into 2026.